What's up, everybody? So I wanted to do a little story time action for you. My fiance is technically, and this isn't the story, my fiance is in the emergency room right now with appendicitis. She was sick yesterday and was throwing stuff up, so now she is getting it done, getting that little fucker removed. So hopefully she's better. That means that I'm watching Little Bean overnight, so she's freaking out that she thinks I can't handle it, but a baby's not that hard. There's way worse things, and that's what brings me to the story, actually. So, not with my daughter, with my first child, Arthur. He lives with his mother in Chicago, and I don't see him just because the only way that I'm allowed to see him in her eyes is over a computer screen, which is crazy. And it is what it is. So, he's 5 right now, and when he was born, it was a weird time in my life. I thought that I wanted a kid. I thought that I was ready, and I had no idea what I was in for. It was very overwhelming. I had no idea what I'd got myself into, I was probably doing cocaine at that point, I think, and other than that, just drinking a lot. I moved to Wisconsin and just thought that was part of the culture, and being an addict, I fit right in. So, what happened was, we ended up, she had her water broke, and we had a doctor's appointment that day, and we ended up getting, she had just a regular checkup, basically. They give you an ultrasound and whatnot, and they said, you're basically about to pop, so, just be ready. So I forgot what we did. I think we went to get something to eat, and then when we got back to the apartment, when she went to go get up out of my car, her water broke. So we live on Hospital Drive at that point, and there's a hospital block down the street. That's why we moved here, just because it was super convenient, and it was around where I was working at the time when I moved out here to this state. So if you hear my daughter in the background, it's fine. She's watching Adventure Time and just tearing her little play area apart. She's got these little floor mats, and she just loves destroying stuff, so definitely my kid. But I forgot exactly what time he was born. I think it was in the morning, to be honest with you, or afternoon. But his name was Arthur Anthony Maslowski at the time. His name is probably Anthony Arthur Norman at this point, just because he's had his last name changed, just because she wants nothing to do with me and wants me to have nothing to do with that kid. So, and that's fine. I pay child support. I write to that kid all the time, and I have a book for him when he's out, just so he knows that I made efforts to be a part of the life that he, was stripped of, from me at least. So otherwise, he's grown up pretty fine from my understanding. But so the day he was born was May, I believe it was May 10th, 2016, I believe. And he was born, he was, without a hitch. He was fine. So he was born, and then I went to go to my hometown of Schaumburg and go and pick up my cousin Scooby. And I went down there, and I had no idea, because I didn't think any of my family was going to come, just because no one really told me that they were going to come. And it's one of those things that was spur of the moment. Yeah, they live a state away, but so we have Arthur. He was born fine, and I just it sucked that I didn't have family. So I posted my son's born, and I don't have a lot of friends out here at this time, and it's just, a weird feeling to have something so crazy happen to you and have nobody to share it with besides the person that you're with. And I wasn't thinking about that. I was just kind of like selfishly thinking about what I wanted. Like, I missed our dinner and stuff, or for our, us having a kid. The hospital provided us with like a little lobster dinner and stuff, and I didn't even make it back in time for that, I don't believe. So I went and got my cousin Scooby. And the drive from where I was at to where I used to live was like, I'd say 2.5 hours, something like that, from Wisconsin to like Chicago, basically, or on the outskirts of Chicago. So when I Nova Daddy's talking. Why you no watching Adventure Time, huh? So I make it, fine. I make it to my buddy Scooby's, and we're kicking it there at the place he was staying for a little bit. And I was not sober at this point. I was drinking, I was smoking, I was taking ecstasy at work, I was doing a lot of stuff that I shouldn't be. Especially, and I felt in my mind justifying it was, I'm about to have a kid, so, go hard. And then when the kid's here, just, stop. It doesn't usually happen like that. Some people can do it. I wasn't, but I'm an addict. So, I don't know if we had to drive anywhere per se, but so the drive itself back there was a while. We didn't get back until probably 11:30, and like I said, Arthur was probably born in the morning, like 11 o'clock, I think. So, my cousin's, excuse me, fuck. My cousin Scooby ends up getting cocaine. We had weed, I think, but no alcohol, really. I think maybe I had a few beers at the apartment, but, so we're just doing coke the whole drive, and I think we left, I'm missing a whole part. This is, that's the crazy part. Alright, so Scooby was telling me, like, hey, man, since you haven't been out here, people are talking, and I had gotten over on somebody that I probably shouldn't have, that looked out for me and stuff, but the whole thing is that I was an addict, and that's why I'm making this video. So I had owed somebody money, and I'd moved to Wisconsin at this time, so I wasn't thinking of paying anybody back. I wasn't thinking of anything, I was still in my using days. So he said, my cousin, the one that I was with that I picked up to bring back with me, he was saying, like, yo, this dude's saying this and this, and, he lived right up the street from where my cousin Scooby lives. So I went, and I had like a 357 at the time, and I was legally allowed to carry it in the state of, Wisconsin. It wasn't a big deal. So I went to this dude who was, talking shit, according to my cousin, and I believe him, because this is the kind of kid that I grew up with, who we basically introduced to people, and then he went and got addicted to heroin, and then basically just became a scumbag. Like, he was grimy and bogus. Like, he liked young girls and stuff like that. He probably still does. He ended up serving time for some weird shit, so it is what it is. But, like, this kid, I don't even want to mention his name, because it is what it is. I don't talk to the kid. But he was saying, like, yo, Matt's, a bitch, this and that. He owes people money. He's running around, and I didn't like hearing that shit. So I had been drinking that day. I think we did a little cocaine. So I went to this guy's house. I knock on his door. I knew he lived with his mom's, and ironically enough, he answered the door. I shake his hand, and before he could say anything, I lift up my shirt, and I brandish my fucking revolver. So I pull this thing, and I'm like, so what? You're running your mouth. What's up? I'm here right now. So he basically slams the door on me, But, like, before he did that, like, I remember my cousin Scooby, I was like, before anything happened, I'm like, yo, stay in the car. And he's like, yeah, yeah. So, of course, this man fucking being a wildcat, he fucking runs out. And he's like, yeah, fuck you, man. Talking that shit. So I'm like, all right, we got to go. So we book it back into my car. And mind you, I'm thinking Travis is probably going to call the police because he is one of those people. So knowing this, I'm like, all right, so we just got to beeline it back to fucking Wisconsin at this point, man. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. So he's like, yeah, you're right. So I picked him up like spur of the moment. Like I said, it's not like I had anything with me. I was at the hospital, so I'd left. I went to go get him, and I didn't have shit. I didn't have a charger, I didn't have anything like that in my car either. He didn't bring any of that stuff either. He was figuring, like, I'm going to sleep over, and then he'll take me, home the next day, which is what I ended up doing. So, the whole drive is like, it's just me and him, key bumps, key bumps, key bumps. And mind you, it's like a 2.5 hour drive. So, I think I don't know how much he had. He had a teener to like a ball. And anybody that doesn't know, that terminology is between like the equivalent of an eighth of weed in cocaine form. So like, you do the math. It's a good amount. So I just remember him like just key bump, key bump, key bump, and I'm driving. I'm hands free at this point. So he's just feeding them to me, and we end up like, our phones died. And I'm like, it's cool, man. I fucking know this place. At this point, I probably lived out there for, God, I couldn't even tell you at this point. It was probably, sorry, I'm just checking on my daughter. I would say I'd been there probably just short of a year. And 6-7 months at this point. I think it was something like that. Yeah, so I thought it was kind of familiar. But here's the thing, like, in Wisconsin, they don't have, like, road names. It's just, like, road letters. Like, you're on Highway L. And there's really nothing out here to differentiate certain roads just because it's all fucking fields and farmland, and every farmhouse looks the same. And mind you, it's dark. At this point, it's fucking dark. So I see a spot that I think is kind of familiar, and that's only because of, me going camping up in Wisconsin. And that is, I think we were like in Rome or Palmyra. So away from Watertown Regional Medical Center, which is where we were at, that was probably a good hour. And I pull in, and I back up, and this weird spot, and my heat shield on the bottom of my car gets hooked, and it's dragging. We hear it, we see sparks and shit, and my cousin Scooby's like, yo, you need to pull over, this is hot. We got coke, you got a gun in the car, we need to get you back to your family. I appreciate you picking me up, but, like, I need to get you back to your family, So I'm like, yeah, you're right. So we pull over, and I'm just praying at this point a cop doesn't come, because it just looks bad. It's dark as fuck, we're in the middle of nowhere, we pulled in at, like, this little rest stop kind of deal, and we're underneath my car, like, kicking the shit out of this fucking heat shield, bending it back and forth, just so it, like, eventually snaps. So after a good amount of time, and no hate on my cousin Scooby, but he's not the tallest guy, so he is giving it his all, I'm giving it my all. I'm a pretty big dude, but, like, we just can't fucking do it. So eventually we fucking kick off the part that was, like, bent and fucking dragging. And I had to, like, fucking kick and, like, I don't know what we used. Maybe we had a skateboard in the trunk. Scooby, comment and tell me if you know or whatever. But, like, I just remember we were like, okay, this is copacetic. We can go. So, mind you now, I think we had some time to, like, find a charger or something and kind of figure out where we're at. And it was a miracle. So we make it back and find Watertown. So we're just like, all right, we made it finally. Then I get pulled over. And me and my cousin Scooby are shitting bricks at this point. So I pull over into a gas station, and that's where, like, we get lit up. Cherries and berries. So I just remember I had the gun, and I tossed it. So I'm driving, he's in the passenger seat of my two-door Honda Coupe. It's a 2012, it's it's nothing crazy. So I have it just laying. If you were to open my door, you would see a 357 right there below the seat. Not underneath it, right in between that little valley between when you open the door where, like, if you drop something, it's right there, So I'm like, fuck, and there's probably Coke all over my fucking shirt, like all over the center thing from him leaning over, and so it was, I believe it was a female cop, and the only thing that saved our ass, we didn't have a lot of Coke left, but it was enough to be, hey, you have fucking cocaine in the car, now I'm searching, and bam, there's a gun, so not good. So they ended up, like, I forgot what happened, but so we get pulled over, and, like, I think the only thing that saved us was, like, yo, I'm just trying to get back. I picked up my cousin from, so-and-so, Illinois, and we're heading back to, the hospital. My son was just born this morning, and I showed her the wristband that I had, and she's like, all right, go, and she's like, well, I forgot what we even got pulled over for. I think, like, maybe I was going fast or something, but like I said, I was trying to get back to the hospital. And so we get back, and we get to the hospital, I'm just like, what the fuck, man? So we see Angela, and I'm like, hey, we're going to stop at the house real quick. Scooby's going to spend the night, we'll spend the night here, but, we were just trying to get some beer or whatever. And I think I told her what we were doing. I don't think she really cared at that point, or maybe I didn't tell her. I don't know. But if you didn't know, now you know. But, peace and love, by the way. So, I forgot exactly what happened. I know my family ended up coming, and I didn't think they were coming, and they kind of made it seem like they weren't coming. And by family, I mean, like, my mom and dad. My sister and her husband, I think my sister, my husband, and my dad came the next day when I was taking Scooby back home, and that was, I don't know, it was just crazy, man. But yeah, I mean, it was just wild, man. That was one of the craziest experiences. But that was one of the stories that I plan on talking about on this channel, and I have plenty more like it, unfortunately for me, fortunately for you guys. But if you guys enjoyed this, like, share, subscribe. Again, I wasn't a good kid growing up. I wasn't terrible, but I wasn't good by any means. So, all people in this video, I'm using weird names, but, it is what it is. Like, nobody was hurt, and I just wanted to say, just because, like, when you're doing drugs, sometimes you're not in the best mindset, and clearly I was not in the best mindset. Yes, Dad is right. Daddy was not in a good mindset. Yes, you big chubby. But like I said, guys, if you guys want more stories, I got more content. Share my stuff. I want more subscribers. 10 is a good number, but like 11's looking better. It's not working like I expected it to, but like I said, guys, I'm still here for the long journey, so you guys are family. You're my family now. Any new subscribers that we get, like I said, I'm doing individual videos thanking you guys for subscribing, because we are family once you're a part of this. I'm going to the top with you guys, bringing y'all with me. So, like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned. Love you guys.